Welcome to the Big Picture Retirement Show, where you'll learn what it really takes to have a successful retirement. With over 20 years of experience, your host, Rick Rivera of Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, has seen it all and is here to help you achieve your retirement dreams. This is the Big Picture Retirement Show.
Welcome into the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera. I'm Mark Elliott. Rick is a partner at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, has over 20 years experience in the financial industry. Rick and his team, Reed, Eddie, and the team, they're really here to help you figure out where you are on that road to retirement. What do you need to put you in a better position? Can you retire? Maybe you need a little bit more. Maybe you could have retired 3 years ago. Don't really know until you reach out and have a chat with them. The number is 800-700-1980. No cost to talk with them. They're here to help, offer some advice if that's your question or concern, and certainly try to tell you what they can. But then maybe it makes more sense for you to come in and have a conversation about retirement and maybe the full-blown big picture blueprint, income, investment, taxes, healthcare, legacy planning, Social Security, Medicare, all of that. Or maybe you just need a piece of that. Hey, I wonder how much risk I'm taking, Rick. What if we have another big market downturn? How are we going to be? They can do all that for you. 800-700-1980. And you can always go to the website to learn more, safeguardinvestment.com. Safeguardinvestment.com. I'm Mark Elliott. Rick, all right, here's the deal. I'm 65.
Yep.
2.5% cost of living adjustment for 2025 for Social Security. I've been putting it off. I'm kind of at least waiting till full retirement age, which is 66 and 10 months for me, according to Social Security, born in 1959. If you're born in 1960 or later, your full retirement age is 67. But with that 2.5% cost of living, that could be a Ferrari in my future. $50 extra dollars a month, huh?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So last year was 3.2%, and certainly during COVID, there was one time it was almost 9%. And certainly during the 80s, there were 70s and 80s with high inflation. There were high cost of living adjustments. I don't know whether we get super excited, but I think it's nice to have a little something. I don't know if it does really cost of living really keep up with cost of living for the actual people?
No, especially with Social Security and this, it's interesting you talk about the cost of living because, we talk about this in our workshop a lot, obviously with clients directly, but, when people come to our workshops, we tell them, we say, listen, you know what is that? The government is reporting buying a basket of goods this year. Next year, they're buying a basket of goods and they're determining, okay, did that price rise? And they're figuring out inflation based upon that, and with the cost of living adjustment, and they're giving you a raise based on the basket of goods that they're buying. But the question that you got to ask yourself is that basket of goods have anything to do with your particular situation? And a lot of times, people may even have a cost of living on their pensions. They call them COLAs, cost of living adjustment. And what is that COLA cost of living adjustment pegged to? What index is that pegged to, and what basket of goods is in that COLA adjustment that's determining what your inflation rate should be or your cost of living adjustment should be? And the challenge that a lot of people have is that when they're planning for retirement, if they're relying on some random index, they're lumping themselves with everybody else. And the scenario here that we have to, discuss when it comes to your cost of living adjustment is everybody's goals and objectives are different. So if I have somebody that says, hey, Rick, when I retire, I want to travel. Well, what if travel costs are rising at 6%? Somebody else might be concerned about medical. What if medical costs are rising at 7%? Somebody else, might be, like you, Mark, where they're like, listen, when I retire, I really just want to play more golf, so their cost of living adjustment, may be different. So really, when it comes to these cost of living adjustments, yeah, it's nice to get something. And I would say, hey, listen, something's better than nothing. But really, when it comes to designing a plan and a structure for clients, we have to base it around their particular situation, not some random index that has a basket of goods that you may not even identify with. And that's the important thing.
I think that's such a great point, because when somebody comes in to go through your big picture blueprint process, and it's income, investment, taxes, healthcare, legacy planning, Social Security, Medicare, all those decisions you have to make, it is about whomever you're sitting down with. Because you have people that need 20 grand income. You have people that need 4 grand. I mean, everybody's different. And that's how you look at it. The government looks at it, everybody's in the same pool. I think their cost of living is a clerical worker in major urban cities like New York and Chicago, LA, maybe. And so that it's like a 35-year-old. Well, that has nothing to do with retirees. So the cost of living is a weird thing of how they do that. But really what we're talking about too is Social Security. Social Security, and I don't know how long you've been talking about this, Rick, 10, 12, 15 years. Hey, Social Security's going to run out of money and you're going to get 79 cents on the dollar. And now that's 2033, 2034, kind of in that time frame. And we always hear the Democrats say the Republicans are going to get rid of Social Security and Medicare. And then Republicans say Democrats are going to get rid of Social Security and Medicare. Well, they don't ever fix it, which is what they need to do. They need to fix it somehow because, Rick, I've paid into it, and I'd like my Social Security check when I'm ready to take it. But how do you look at Social Security? Should we be worried, I better take it right now because it's not going to be there for me?
There's two schools of thought on this. Number one, for many of the pre-retirees, what we're trying to do and what their philosophy is when it comes to retirement planning is they're trying to plan assuming that Social Security is not going to be there. So really what they're trying to do is put themselves in a situation where if Social Security is still around, it's going to be icing on the cake. Now, for those that are currently retired and collecting Social Security, if I was a betting man, I doubt that's going to change for those that are already collecting. But here's a scenario that we got to take into consideration. For most people nowadays, I would say Social Security is a huge part of their income. And for many people, I think I read a statistic some time ago that for probably about 50% or so of the people that are collecting Social Security right now, if they didn't have it, they would be at poverty level. It's not a negligible amount. It's a significant amount of most people's income. And if you lost, 30% of your income tomorrow, how would that potentially change your lifestyle? So if it's really a concern for people, and this is a concern that they have of worrying that, hey, listen, you know what? I'm concerned that Social Security is going to, be gone or it's going to be cut. Then what we have to do is we have to sit down and figure out, okay, what strategies, what game plan can we implement to put you in a situation where if it is reduced or eliminated, how can we mitigate as much as that shortfall moving forward as possible?
If you have questions about this, you can always talk with Rick and the team at Safeguard Investment Advisor Group, 800-700-1980. And everybody's situation is unique. Maybe you should have started at 62. Maybe you should do it at 65. Maybe you should do it at 66. Maybe you should do it at 67. Maybe you should wait till 70. Everybody does have an opportune time, but it's not a blanketed time, right? Everybody's situation is unique. So if you this is a big decision. You think about a married couple, if the average Social Security is going to be around $600,000 over a 30-year retirement, so that means a married couple, it's over $1 million decision. This is a big decision for you to get right. 800-700-1980. Let me give you some stats about Social Security, Rick. Social Security supports 68 million Americans monthly. It pays about $1.5 trillion in benefits annually. 90% of people age 65 and older were receiving a Social Security benefit as of June 30, 2024. Well, I'm going to be 65 in 2 weeks, and I am not starting Social Security yet, so I will not in that category. Social Security benefits account for about 30% of the income of people over 65. I can certainly see that. But it says among Social Security recipients age 65 and older, 37% of men, 42% of women receive 50% or more of their income from Social Security. Last stat for you, Rick. Among Social Security beneficiaries age 65 and older, 12% of men, 15% of women rely on Social Security for 90% or more of their income.
Wow.
And that you've heard that. Hey, I'm just going to go with Social Security and hope I have a little extra somewhere else to help me, or maybe I can keep a part-time job. Everybody's situation is unique. For the wealthy, is Social Security a big decision? Because for the ones that money is tight, I would think Social Security is a huge decision. For those that are, the Social Security money is just going to be play money. That gives me another car payment. That gives me another trip. It's different, isn't it?
Oh yeah, for sure. We have clients that obviously, when it comes to Social Security, they don't even think about it. They've done fantastic planning. Their pensions are amazing. The amount of money, that they've saved and put away for retirement has put them in a fantastic position. Some of them even have passive income off of rentals and things of that nature. So Social Security is more of an afterthought. They're kind of, what we do is we plan and say, hey, okay, if you do collect Social Security, they're looking at Social Security as, oh, great, it's just going to bump up my tax bracket. So what we do is we look at, okay, well, you're entitled to it. What are strategies we can use now in your particular situation to leverage Social Security in your favor? So maybe that means, using Social Security to offset the taxes on Roth conversions. Or, I can go down a big rabbit hole, but, what we do is we just say, hey, you're in a great position. You don't need it. It's going to be extra. So what's the best way we can maximize it for your scenario? Now, somebody that actually need Social Security for their everyday living. And like you said, in that scenario, where for some people it's 90% of their income, and and quite frankly, my own parents, their major income was Social Security. I would say they fall into that category where literally, 90% was of their income was coming from Social Security, and my wife and I would offset, stuff that they would need monthly to help them out if they were short on certain things. So, so there's planning that's got to be different for those individuals, because especially when you get surprise medical bills and things of that nature that Medicare maybe doesn't cover, or Medi-Cal, how are you going to come up with those funds? So yeah, so it's sad that unfortunately some people are to that point, but yeah, it's important that they sit down with somebody and know what all their options are.
And that's really the key, is when should you start it? And if you're married, remember that when one spouse passes away, the lower of the two Social Securities will go away. The higher passes on to the surviving spouse. So there's a lot of challenges when it comes to a married couple, for example. Besides the lower of the two Social Securities going away, maybe you lose some or all of a pension. Hey, congratulations, you were married 50 years, the government says, but the year of your spouse passing, we're going to let you file taxes jointly. But of course, next year you have to file your taxes single. Now your taxes have gone skyrocketing too. So there's a lot of whammies here. So this is a big decision, but you can always talk with Rick and the team at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group. Hey, I wonder what I should be doing. Should I wait till full retirement age? Should I wait till, the fully maximize it at 70? Hey, you know what? I'm going to retire at 62. Why am I going to wait? I could use some extra money, and maybe taxes will be a factor, but everybody's situation is unique. Call Rick if you have questions. 800-700-1980. Totally complimentary. No cost to you whatsoever. 800-700-1980. Back with more of the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera of Safeguard Investment Advisory Group right after this.
You're listening to the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera. For more information about Rick and the Safeguard Investment Advisory Group team, go to safeguardinvestment.com. While you're there, you can also download educational retirement guides and sign up for an upcoming seminar. That's safeguardinvestment.com. Now, back to the podcast.
Welcome back to the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera. I'm Mark Elliott. Rick, a partner at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group. Rick's been doing this kind of game, really the financial world, since 1995. He sat down with a lot of different people, knows a lot of situations. But he's really here to help you put together the big picture blueprint, the retirement plan, income, investment, taxes, healthcare, legacy planning, Social Security decisions, Medicare decisions. There's a lot on your plate as a retiree. Why not have, like all the Fortune 500 companies have, that CFO, that chief financial officer? What would it be if Rick was your CFO? The team at Safeguard was behind you to help you make these decisions. That would be pretty nice, I think. 800-700-1980 if you have questions, if you have concerns. 800-700-1980, totally complimentary, no cost to you. You can always go to the website to learn more, safeguardinvestment.com. So Social Security is a big deal. We get that. For some people, it's way more important than others, but still Social Security is a big deal. There's a lot of money in that whole system that you've earned, because every paycheck they've taken money out for Social Security. I think we deserve it back. And I don't think it should be taxed. They can't tax me again, but they do. 1983, it's now 50% tax on Social Security if you make over a certain amount. And in 1993, they upped it to, hey, we need 85% tax on that. So there's a lot of moving parts here. But when it comes to income, to me, my grandparents had pensions and Social Security. Income was a given, and they had high inflation in the 70s and 80s. Put money in a CD, get 15%, interest. I mean, pretty easy income back then. Today, I don't have a pension. I've got a 401k, but I don't have a pension. And I do have Social Security, but now they're saying, that might kind of slow down a little bit for you. I don't know. But income, is that kind of one of the top things you think would really, when somebody comes in for the first time, you sit down with them, it's, all right, let's figure out where your income is going to come from and how much do you need month after month?
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, one of the big questions, and maybe some of the people that listen to the radio show right now may even have, is, they'll say, hey, you know what, Rick, should I hold out on Social Security to maximize my income in retirement? So they'll come in, they'll say, okay, Rick, I'm retiring, let's say this year, but I'm going to wait till, 67 or 70 where Social Security maxes out. And here's the thing that we got to take into consideration, and this is just some food for thought, is that if you are, let's say, for example, you're short by, $2,000 a month, and you're like, okay, what I'm going to do, and here's their strategy. I'm going to take $2,000 a month out of my investments to live on until I'm 70 and I maximize Social Security. And instead of getting 2 grand a month, I get $2,700 a month or whatever that number is. What we have to look at is this. If you're drawing that money out of your investments, and let's say that you're pulling it from your IRA, your 401k, your 457s, your TSPs, your 403bs, and now you're pulling $2,000 a month, roughly, whatever the number is, in order to tie you over until you're ready to pull Social Security. The thing that we have to look at is, number one, if we're pulling it from our retirement accounts, we have to realize that 100% of the money that we're pulling out of those retirement accounts are reportable on our tax return, and we have to pay taxes on whatever we're pulling out. However, what we should take into consideration is that not 100% of our Social Security is reported on the return. Mark, as you mentioned earlier, you were saying, hey, up to 85% of somebody's income may be subject to taxes. So here's the thing. If I have a choice of, from a tax standpoint, pulling my money from Social Security, 2 grand a month, or pulling the money out of my own retirement accounts at 2 grand a month, technically, the Social Security money is going to be taxed more efficiently because the other 15% of Social Security, I'm actually getting tax free, where I don't get that with my IRA or 401k. The other thing too is that if I'm holding out from pulling Social Security for, let's say, 5 years or so to get an extra $800 a month, I have to say, okay, I may be foregoing over $100,000, $120,000 of security payments over that period of time in order to get an extra $800 a month, which means I got to spend down my own IRA or 401k by 100 and some odd $1,000 in order to get an extra $800 a month. How long is it going to take me to make up that shortfall? And then, of course, if God forbid one spouse predeceases the other, that money that you foregoed on the Social Security, you can't claw back. So we have to look at both sides of the equation and say, okay, does it make more sense for me to take Social Security now, allow my own investments to grow and compound, and actually have my taxes taxed in a more efficient manner? Or again, there may be scenarios where it does make more sense for you to hold off. But these are calculations that we can do for clients. So that way, when they're making these decisions, it's based on education. It's based on them looking at a mock tax return showing, hey, if we do it this way, here's what things are going to look like. If we do it this other way, here's what things are going to look like. And now they can make a decision based on education rather than just something that they Googled on the internet or their buddy told them, hey, listen, this is what I did. What's good for one person may not be good for the other. So I think it's important that you look at all the parameters, get educated, and then decide, hey, what's the sweet spot for you to start drawing Social Security based upon all your parameters, not just some, random information you get from your neighbor, so to speak.
Just a whim. Hey, I think, what the heck, I'll just start it, whatever.
Yeah, it just sounds good.
Yeah. So that's what Rick and the team at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group can certainly do for you, 800-700-1980. Again, complimentary, no cost to you to have a conversation with them. Can they help you? They don't know that until you reach out. They can certainly help you with this question, when you should take it, how you should do it. They can certainly help you with that. 800-700-1980. But it really is crazy. I don't know how you decided to tax my Social Security because I'm taxed every time I pay into it, every paycheck. Why did you decide to tax my Social Security? I mean, you're double dipping again on me, Rick.
Yeah, it's and we get that question all the time. Why are we paying tax on Social Security? That's a great question. The interesting thing here that I want people to realize is that the threshold, let's see, for a single person, it's about $25,000. Provisional income calculation is when your Social Security starts being taxed, and your provision, or if you're married with $32,000 provisional income, is when your Social Security starts being taxed. And what I want people to realize is that $25,000 figure for single people, $32,000 figure for married couple, those figures are the figures that they've been using since 1983. These numbers have never been indexed for inflation. So like I say in the workshop, maybe somebody back in 1983 as a single person making $25,000 or a married couple making $32,000, I don't know, maybe that was a fair wage back then. But folks, is that the case today? So this is the reason why we're seeing many retirees fall into these categories and having their Social Security subject to tax. But Mark, when we ask people, hey, listen, how come you don't get these things reviewed? How come you don't get a second opinion on these things? The number one answer that comes back is they say, well, Rick, you know what? If my tax preparer hasn't shared any ideas with me, or the stockbroker that I'm dealing with hasn't shared any ideas, I assume nothing exists. Folks, you go to the doctor to get an opinion. You can't be afraid to go to another doctor to get a second opinion. You do that with your medical. You can't be afraid to do that with your investments, your Social Security planning, your pension planning. That's what we do. Maybe you're working with a current advisor and you're happy and everything, but why not get a second opinion? We can give you a second opinion and say, hey, listen, the way you have everything set up is perfect. There's not much value that can be brought to the table. Or you may find out, hey, wait a minute, there's a few things that are misaligned here, and maybe I want to get them addressed. So that way, again, you're not caught by the eight ball. You're not caught by any surprises, and that's what we specialize in, Mark.
Yeah, and it really is what I kind of go back to all the time, that why would you not take advantage of this? It's complimentary to actually come in and figure out, when should we start Social Security? When should I really think about retirement? Where's my window? When do I win the game when it comes to the taxes? Do I start Social Security now or whatever? The idea is, are you going to have more fun in your life 65 to 75 than 75 to 85? I would say yes. So that should play into it too, our everyday lives. So, Rick, I'll let you finish up the show. It was always a pleasure chatting with you. But you might remind people that you say you come in for a 45-minute chat and you will what?
We'll give you 2 ideas that will enhance whatever it is that you're doing, and it will not cost you anything. You leave your checkbooks and all that behind. There's no high-pressure sales tactics, nothing of that nature. Really, it's just a quick conversation we've been doing this over 2 decades. So literally within 45 minutes, an hour tops, I'll be able to give you 2 ideas that will enhance whatever it is that you're doing. Just give us a call toll free, 800-700-1980. Again, our toll free number is 800-700-1980.
Firm offers insurance services. Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC is a registered investment advisory firm. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC.